I now want to discuss using quantifiers. That's words such as much, many, some, etc. In part 1 of the academic writing test, you may have to describe amounts in a table or a chart. Sometimes we use a quantifier in place of a determiner. For example, they ate some apples. Most popular subjects for international students in the UK universities are marketing and business management. I saw lots of movies during my holidays, all giving some idea of quantity and some idea of volume and numerical value. These quantifiers can be used both with countable and uncountable nouns, such as any, none of, all, enough, most, no, and many, many other words besides. So many opportunities to actually use them with both countable and in an uncountable context. Now we come to some colloquial forms that can be used both with countable and uncountable nouns. A load of, plenty of, heaps of, loads of, tons of, and many, many others besides, which are used in colloquial English, but not necessarily in formal English, but they are nonetheless used extensively. If we note that some quantifiers can only be used with countable nouns, and such as both, each, a few, several, fewer, neither or either. And here are some more colloquial forms that can be used only with countable nouns. A couple of, hundreds of, thousands of, and I'm sure you get the feeling of exactly how that will work in your text that you may have to write. Some quantifiers can only be used with uncountable nouns, and that is something like a little, not, in brackets, much, or a bit of, and they are restricted in their use because of the sort of words that we're using. And particularly with abstract nouns such as time, money, trouble, etc., we often use something like a great deal of trouble, a great deal of time, a great deal of money, or a good deal of, and obviously the subject matter that you're talking about. Some common mistakes that are made is actually using words, something like using less with countable nouns. And if we take two examples, less men choose to go shopping than women is not grammatically correct. It would be better with something like fewer men chose to go shopping than women, so that it actually grammatically makes more sense and it sounds a better production. The next example, using amount with countable nouns. These days, a large amount of children use mobile devices. Well, in fact, they're always using mobile devices. But what it ought to be is these days a large number of children use a mobile device, purely because you have the implication that children are a numerical. They're not an amount, they're not a volume, they're not weight, they are distinct descriptors. You can now put a noun after a quantifier when you're talking about members of a group in general. And a few examples are, few snakes are dangerous. Both friends work in the same company. He never had enough money. So all showing the ways in which they can be used, the words can be used. But if you are talking about a specific group of people or things, use of the as well. So few of the snakes are dangerous. All of the students missed their classes due to the tube strike. I like all my classes. So again, very clear as to the ways in which you can use those words. If we now take a look at two tables and note the use of quantifiers for two people or things and more than two people or things, so single people, more than. Both the shops were closed. And if we're talking of many shops, all the shops were closed. If we now look at neither of the shops was open, talking about two again, or if we're looking at more than that, then none of the shops were open. If we're looking at two shops, I don't think either of the shops was open. Or if we're looking at lots of shops again, I don't think any of the shops were open. And if you look at the note at the bottom, note that nouns with either and neither have a single verb. So, and whether you pronounce it neither or neither, doesn't matter. We use every or each with a single noun to mean all. And again, some examples we have here. There was a party in every street. Or it can be exactly the same as there were parties in the streets. And again, every shop was decorated with flowers. Or if you're looking at bigger, all the shops were decorated with flowers. So you can see the way in which the words are used. Next example, each child was given a prize. Or all the children were given a prize. And the last example here, there was a prize in each competition. Or it's exactly the same as there were prizes in all the competitions. So again, it gives an idea of expanding. We often use every to talk about times like days, weeks and years. When we were children, we had holidays at our grandmother's every year. When we stayed at my grandmother's house, we went to the beach every day. And we visit our daughter every Christmas, which is saying we do it all the time. But we do not use a determiner with every and each. We do not say the every shop. We just say every shop was decorated with flowers. And we do not put a the in front of each child was given a prize, because of course it would make the sentence sound grammatically incorrect.